Hello, dear friends. It's William Sovik here. Once again, welcome back to the sixth episode of the Grand Final Oddcast. You should feel very welcome to join me here on the internets today. And for you who haven't seen any of these videos before and who are wondering what the hell is going on, what has William lost his mind? Why is he talking by himself into a camera like an insane person? And I might wonder that myself sometimes, or every time I do this, I wonder that. But the main reason for why I'm pushing through with this is that my band, William Sovik Grand Final, we have a new album coming out soon. It looks like this. And it's called Once More, Dear Friends. And it's coming out on May 17th, so it's quite soon. Tomorrow, we're 10 days away from releasing. It feels great. I'm super happy with the album, and I'm making these videos in order to try and, I don't know, spread the word, I guess, about the fact that we have new music coming out, and that you should keep your eyes open, and ears, and everything. Links will, of course, be all over the internet when it's actually released, and it will be on Spotify and YouTube and Google Music, everywhere. YouTube Music. Yes, so I'm super happy about this. Once More, Dear Friends, and it's coming out quite soon, so stay tuned. I have been talking to some of my band members. I've been interviewing Victor and Joel, who plays the bass and the guitar in Grand Final. But I have not yet found the time to sit down with the sax section of the band, the horn section. Malin and Signe. It's proven to be quite difficult to find time to sit down with them. So in the meantime, I thought that I'd make a little solo rant here while we wait for them to, or us to be able to, find time in our schedules, I suppose. So today, I don't know, I feel like every time I've made an album with this band, or anything that's sort of released in my name, I always go through a similar process, I suppose, which is like writing the music and everything, and then recording it, and then all of the stuff that you have to do when you're done with that. You're mixing, and you're trying to make artwork, and then you start doing this sort of thing that I've been doing now for a while, which is sort of promoting it and sending it out for reviews, and trying to spread the word. And there's a constant fluctuation of feelings towards the music at this point. I always feel, at least, and I always start to sort of second guess myself at this point. Not all the time, but like every other day. It's like, oh shit, what have I? Is this really something, or have I just been overthinking this, or have I been underthinking this, or have I? What's the point with all of this, and what am I trying to say with this music and whatever? But then at the end of the day, I usually calm down, and it's like, okay, it's fine. It's gonna be okay. It's just music. Calm down, and that's how it goes. But at this point in the release process, I always start sort of thinking about the kind of music that we make, and the kind of music that I usually find myself playing in basically all of the bands that I've ever been in. I usually start thinking about that, because it always sort of proves quite hard at this point of the release, when you're starting to try and promote your music, to do so, or to create a lot of attention, or just create some buzz surrounding the music. And I mean, there are of course many different reasons for why that's the case. For one, I'm not I'm not that established, even though I've been doing this for a long time. But I'm not a well-known name. I usually categorize myself as being a lower mid-tier professional jazz musician, which is sort of what I feel like. Not necessarily in terms of my abilities or my capabilities as a drummer or a composer, but just in terms of how sort of established I am. I sort of feel like I'm a lower mid-tier professional jazz musician, which is something that I borrowed from one of my favorites, Devin Townsend, who says that he's a lower mid-tier prog metal guy. I can really relate to that. But anyway, so that's one reason I'm not very established or famous. So that's one thing. But also, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I've always been playing music that's sort of in between, and still do. William Solvik Grand Final is very much what I would call like a hybrid music band, I suppose. It has clear influences from all over the place, really. Like it's a lot of it is rooted in jazz, both contemporary and more traditional jazz music, and a lot of it is rooted in completely improvised music or contemporary art music even, and a lot of it is rooted in different kinds of rock music, metal music and grunge music, stoner rock, and like vintage rock music, like The Who or Led Zeppelin style music, and progressive music as well. So there's like a whole bunch of influences that come together to form this more or less cohesive mass of music that we make. And that's the case that it's been for almost all of the bands that I've ever played with. And although I think that that's the most fun thing to do, to play this kind of hybrid music and this sort of in-between stuff, because it allows me to sort of utilize my whole arsenal of sensibilities, I suppose, as a musician and a composer, and emotionally as well, as opposed to playing just sort of one style of music, where you might not get to like use all of the tools that you've gathered throughout the years. Plus, I just like different kinds of music, and I love when they come together. And I also love the fact, I also love to be able to be truly free in what you do musically. I love the fact that you could play a jazz ballad followed by sort of a grunge sounding song going into like a contemporary art music style improvised piece. I love that. I think it's so much fun. However, I do not think that it's a very good thing when it comes to sort of trying to get the word out about the music that you make, or trying to book concerts or gigs, because I feel like, or my experience is that people, at least in Sweden, I'm not sure about the rest of Scandinavia, obviously, not entirely at least, but I have a lot of experience trying to book things in Sweden and make things happen here, and I feel that people are incredibly people can be very suspicious about things that aren't that they aren't able to place in a certain box, right? and people seem to identify with certain sort of boxes of music to the extent that all of the other boxes are just, not even worth exploring. And I have so many friends and colleagues who make sort of this in-between kind of music, and I think that all of them, when I've talked to them, most of them describe the same kind of thing that I feel or that I've experienced, which is that you reach out to venues or bookers and they will say, well, the music it's pretty cool, but it's a bit too free for us, maybe. So we say, okay, fair enough. And then you contact another venue and they say, well, it sounds good, but it's really a bit too straight for us. It's a bit too jazzy. We're more into like improvised music. So we're like, okay, well, I'll fair enough. I'll check with someone else. And you reach out to like another venue, maybe like a rockier, more rock type venue, and they say, well, it's pretty cool, but this is way too jazzy for us. Really, it's not really our thing. Like, okay, okay, fair enough. I'll reach out to another venue. and then you reach out to another venue, and they say, well, it's pretty cool, but it's a bit too like rock and roll for us. We're more into like jazz music. So it's very hard to find like that sweet spot of being able to fit into these boxes that certain listeners and venues and bookers and also like people in the press and media and reviewers and stuff put up for themselves, and for all of the people who are actually creating the things that they put on their stage or that they write about. And I realize that it might sound like I'm bitter, but I don't feel very bitter, because we've been fairly successful actually with my band lately, and like considering how niche the music that we do is, I think that we've really been able to play quite a lot, which I'm super happy about. But even though that's been the case, there's only really like a handful of venues in Sweden that would book things that are a bit more sort of hybrid type music or in between music. And once you've played one of those places, you can't really come back for like 3 years or something, because then you have a whole sea full of other bands who do this sort of the same thing, like the hybrid thing, and that they want to put on their stage as well. So I don't know. I think making like hybrid music is really fun and it's very rewarding, and I couldn't really see myself doing anything else if I didn't have a very specific idea. Like, I want to make a band that only plays, that sounds exactly like the Art Blakey Jazz Messengers band, because that's a fun type of music to play. But if I was just making music for myself, I think that it would always turn out this way, like this sort of in between hybrid kind of music. It's the only way I know how to do this, I think. And I just think it's a bit boring that the audience here seems so suspicious. Not only the jazz audience, but all audience, all of the potential music audience feels suspicious. And again, not only towards my band or the music that I make, but towards like different kinds of different kinds of musical expression and stuff that they're not necessarily very used to, or stuff that they don't really already know from before. There are a few bands, I think, that are able to make sort of hybrid music, and that there always seems to be sort of a buzz around. But I would say that those bands are generally consisting of people who are already quite established and sort of famous on the Swedish jazz scene, and they've sort of proved that they can do the in the box kind of thing already. So now they can branch out and do like more hybrid style creative music, which is great. But it's there are so many other bands also making music that's influenced from all over the place, and I just wish that the audience sometimes could be a bit more open-minded here, I suppose. Having said that, I know that venues are having trouble getting people out to those bands as well sometimes. So it's not only about that stuff, obviously. But yeah, it's just this feeling has been sort of gnawing on me for a couple of years, like this feeling of like people being suspicious about the things that you do because they don't really know who you are, which is fine, and it's also what I'm trying to combat here by making these videos, for example. Anyway, I'm talking a lot, I'm rambling. So hybrid music, I love it. I think it's the best thing, and that's always also, I've always been super into like a bunch of different kinds of music, and I feel that I much like my friend Victor, who I talked to recently, I called him sort of a Swiss Army knife, musical Swiss Army knife. He can do sort of everything, and he does it quite well. And I sort of feel the same way sometimes, or like a jack of all trades, master of none type of deal. And I have an incredible amount of respect for people who really devote themselves and their career to doing just one thing. And it's often incredible hearing those people do their one thing that they do better than everyone else. It's fantastic. And I have some friends who are sort of people like that, who are just like, I will do this one thing that I do, and I won't do anything else, but they do this one thing better than anyone, really. I have a huge amount of respect for that, and I wish that I could do that too sometimes, but I just like doing different things, and whenever I do one thing too much, I get bored, or I feel sort of I can get claustrophobic, like musically or artistically, sort of claustrophobic in what I do. So I am trying to accept my my identity as a jack of all trades, master of none. But I also do all of these things because I enjoy them, obviously. So that's sort of what I do, and that's also why I think that all of the bands that I play with, or most of them at least, end up being some sort of hybrid music thing, because I enjoy doing many different things, and I think people know that as well. So maybe that has become a thing. I know some people are really specialized in, like, I have a bunch of friends who are incredible, like just more like traditional sort of jazz musicians. And people know that, like, oh, okay, we have this jazz thing coming up where I want to start this band that's going to play like more regular type jazz. We will obviously call, that person and ask them if they can come and be a part of this band. I don't think people call me for those kinds of stuff typically. However, a lot of people reach out to me with like, okay, I don't really know what this is. It's like I want to make this music based on I don't know, it can be anything really, but it's always sort of these in-between things, which again is what I love. So I'm super happy that people call me about those things, but that's sort of how it goes. I think you sort of it's very hard to not put yourself in a box, even if you want to or not. I think that I've put myself in sort of the in-between, the hybrid music drummer kind of guy. And sometimes I get to do a bit more like niche things, but I often get to participate in those sort of cross I don't know, even know, hybrid music bands and projects, which is super fun. But I will continue to do my weird hybrid music, and I will continue reaching out to all of the venues that I can, and hope that they will open the doors for us, and not just us, but all of the cool bands that are making weird in between music. Let's go. All right, I don't know if I have anything more to say today. William Solvik Grand Final releasing a CD of pristine hybrid music once more, dear friends, on May 17th. So check it out. Thank you for listening today, and take care, and see you next time. Goodbye.